our politics is so terrible that even if us as black people all put our money together, we don't have Oppenheimer money. Even all of us slug it. So bangathenga every election forever.
Do you think this is the
And
death
now
of the
it's
ANC?
suspended. I don't think it's the death of the ANC like completely, but I know that it will never recover from this.
The masses never knew.
No, the masses always
I think
knew.
now it has come out.
No, the masses always knew. The masses always knew. The masses knew what happened in the early 90s. In the East Rand, they knew. Everybody knew. I knew when I was a kid that the IFP was doing all this slaughtering and killing people and stuff like that. That was in my home. Why would Duminisin Tuli say? We invited the MK. They said, they had a problem with the president. The EFF said they don't want to work with the DA. The DA said they don't want to work with the EFF. Why still did you choose them? That's what I said. The future of MK is the future of South Africa.
Happy Monday, Madonna Baseka. Dumelang bana ba ko gae. We're coming to an end of Youth Month in South Africa. It's been quite an interesting one. It's been cold, most parts of the country. But I do know that what's exciting is that this week a lot of people are getting paid. The ones that are getting paid on the 20th got paid last Friday. Well, just a few days ago. Some people are getting paid tomorrow, the 25th. And I know YouTubers from all over the world are getting paid because we know that you get paid from Ireland. Right, YouTube pays you guys from about 20-something. And also the ones that get paid at the end of the month. Guys, be responsible with that money. Talking about money, last year we created something called the Noble Property Stokvel, courtesy of Ekasi Noble Property Development. And we said we're going to be making our payouts on the 30th of June 2024. And I'd like to let you guys know that this week, the 30th of June, we are paying out all of our investors for the Noble Property Stokvel. So we are hosting a gala dinner this coming Friday on the 28th. You can look at the description. I'm going to put in the details for those that want to buy a ticket and come join us for the gala dinner. But for those who are part of the Stokvel, members of the Noble Property Stokvel, you come in for free. And we are making your payouts to your investments, not on the 30th, but 2 days early. So this Friday, it's not only gala dinner. We're paying out your investments, what you guys invested on the Stokvel. What did we do with the money? We took the money, we invested it on our developments. We built a show house. Basically, we took the money and put it to work. And the money has generated some sort of returns. And as promised last year that we're going to be paying out on the 30th of June 2024, we are making your payouts on time. You know, there's nothing that makes me happy than delivering on time. So this coming Friday, 28th, we're making those payouts and we're doing a gala dinner. And if you'd like to come and join the gala dinner and see what we are doing in the property space and what the Stokvel is all about, our crowdfunding platform is all about, come through and join us. There's a link in the description on how you can buy tickets. We're partnered up with Stokvel.com, which is a fintech business that is owned in Johannesburg, that was started in Johannesburg, very highly accredited. It's received numerous awards from different credible organizations under the leadership of Uputsepo Mloyi. So we are very excited that we're making our payouts to all of our investors out there. All right, we've just come out of the elections. Government has been talking about a lot of things, government of national unity, coalitions, and just moving on as a country. Brother of mine I haven't seen in a while. NOTA, how you doing, bro?
I'm very good. Yo, what a long intro.
I know.
No, but I was like listening closely. So no, congratulations on the the Stokvel payouts. No, that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
We don't want to be like some politicians who don't deliver. So we have to promise people and deliver.
Yeah.
So we're delivering 2 days before.
We've been hearing so many promises for a very long time, you know. So yeah, I guess the chickens have come home to roost, and now there's lots of expectations. But yeah, I guess I'm excited to see what the next 5 years
are gonna
is.
be like.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say congratulations on your divorce, or I don't know if it's something you don't want to talk about, but I do know how much you loved your wife. How are you feeling?
Well, I guess closure is a good description, because as a man, I think the thing that you obsess the most about is not failing at something. So, it's always hard to take or accept a failure at anything, like something so critical in one's life. So that's always difficult. But I guess I'm excited to, uh, have the whole question about that part of my life over, I guess. Um, yeah, I guess the saddest part was, when you sit in a divorce court, and I went there with my dad.
Oh, move on the time.
Yeah, so, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, this is so foreign to him.
Oh, yeah. Because we've been married for many years, the old lady, sure.
Yeah, so he's like, damn, this is actually how the process goes. And the funny thing is that, there's so many divorces that are happening. So it's like, you're in a line, the judge is there. It's like, okay, I've got like 8 divorces
Is it?
to deal with in the room. Yeah.
So in that courtroom, there were other people who were there for their own cases.
Yeah, I watched the other divorces first.
Sure.
Before mine, so I was in line.
But I guess you're one of the guys who was very much into your marriage, because most people move on even before the actual divorce, because apparently it takes time. When I've not seen you with any lady, I've not heard you talk about any lady, your mind has always been on your wife. And I'm glad, and I want to say I'm proud of you for fighting till the end.
Yeah, I guess for me, the one thing I didn't want to do is give up.
Yeah.
So like whatever goes down, at least I didn't give up. Let's go down fighting. So it's about my character more than anything else. And that was it. I still need to prove to myself that I'm as principled as I want to be.
Yeah.
And that's what motivated me to do that. And also, I guess you learn from hardship, and every opportunity to go through a certain struggle is an opportunity to get stronger. So yeah, I'm glad that I had such an opportunity to get stronger, to overcome. It's another what is it? Another stripe.
Yeah.
I've gained a stripe, so
Strength, my brother. Strength.
Yeah. That's I guess the long and the short of it. And
Was ex-wifey there?
In
court?
we were both in court.
How was it seeing her? You had not seen each other in a while, ne?
So
Since you've been overseas.
Yeah, but it's since longer than that. Even when I left, it was like I hadn't seen her in almost a year. So me being gone for that time as well, maybe 2 years. Yeah, man. I guess I tried my best to look good.
Yeah.
I was dressed in a suit that she had made. I combed my hair. I made sure, my cologne was smelling fresh.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm leaving a great last impression. So I guess, again, that was it.
Did you guys get a chance to maybe be private and speak just to say your final goodbyes?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah, yeah. I mean, yeah, no, that wasn't gonna be possible. You
Were
know,
you hurt? Were you okay? Were you happy?
I guess that always depends on like what your expectation of like the other person's response is. You know what I mean? So um, I guess I was satisfied. Yeah, I was like, okay, it is what it is. But I walked out. I gave her a hug, and I wished her the best. And yeah, and then me and my dad left, and then I went to go meet with our friend Lavelle.
Oh,
Dante,
Liver from
yeah.
the US, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you went on a date immediately. Nyadla.
No, not even. Actually, I went to go watch Bad Boys 4.
Oh, yeah. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Afterwards, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also very nice to watch, Um, Will Smith, uh, like, he's, I guess, someone else who's also gone through a lot. So it was like his big comeback as well. So I was like, no, let me go check out Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and it was a pretty decent movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Considering like how long since the first one came out. That was still in the 90s, and then it just made me realize something, that Porsche has fallen off.
The car, Porsche.
Yeah, that's it. The movie made me realize that.
How, though?
Bad Boys, the original one. What was the star of the show?
Was the Porsche. Not I'm a Porsche, I was
Manje, you see Will Smith in the Porsche and you're not even excited anymore. But it's driven by moms when they go do groceries, the SUVs, like Porsche is like umlahlo nje.
Yeah.
The Slay Queens, that's their A-level grade, like gift, like the brand of a Porsche has gone completely down.
So when you see somebody in a Porsche now, it's different from how you saw somebody in a Porsche 10, 15 years ago.
Like it's not even an exciting car anymore, and that's the biggest flop of the movie.
Serious?
Yes.
Okay. I have to go check it out.
007.
007 is Aston Martin.
And every movie is about
Yeah.
that Aston Martin.
Yeah, and
Everyone.
about style, class.
That car. No, it's about what happens with that car. The whole movie is about that car. All these movies that you're talking about, these big action movies, are about a car.
As Jonathan Statham would be the Audis.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that car is because of the things that it does. There's the other one, iRobot.
Yeah.
It was that Audi as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what I felt about the movie Bad Boys. And then I guess seeing how our cinemas are just empty, and
But you went to the big screen?
yeah, I go to the movies all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a cinema supporter. There was the Stokvel business. I don't know. They closed maybe some cinemas, and then they lost some jobs, but they retained them. Some of them, and the death of our cinema industry is precipitated by the growth of the satellite TV industry. And I was having this discussion with a friend of mine who's in film, and I'm like to him, they should have never made Shaka Ilembe a series. And he's like, no, why? I was like, the amount of money that they spent on it, that thing should have been put in cinemas and sold, and people should be buying tickets to see that. People should be buying tickets to see our actors. Our actors are not making enough money because they're not selling tickets. Scarlett Johansson sued Disney for, I don't know, there was some superhero movie that they released with her, right? and it wasn't going to be on cinema, so it was only going to be on streaming. So she was missing out on the box office bonuses that she was supposed to get, for certain milestones. And she's like, no, there's no way I can do that, right? And that's what happened to her. At like the biggest movie company, you know what I mean? So now in South Africa, like the biggest content creator is probably DSTV, MultiChoice, and all the channels that make content for them. And what they're doing is that they are stopping the person who's selling popcorns from being able to sell popcorns to a customer, the person who cleans up the cinema, the people that cater for the actors when they're on set, the people that do the lighting, the cameras. There's so many other jobs that are connected to you being able to buy popcorn and sit down on that chair that we're losing just because you're sitting at home and the best productions are all viewable for a very small subscription fee. And the problem with that is that they're trying to rapidly push out productions. Let's do a telenovela, let's do another telenovela, 84 seasons, whatever. We move on, instead of taking that time and focusing on making something that's going to get people out of their houses and into the cinema screens and save the industry. Because what saves the industry is having stars that bring people into cinemas. I don't know if you've heard, but Leon Schuster has been very unwell. And, the whole entire blackface controversy that basically, derailed his career also cost all those people that help him make these movies their jobs and employment. You know what I mean? So, prayers for him, and I hope he recovers from his current unwellness. But we don't see the consequences of losing our on-screen stars. Will Smith, he's a big on-screen star. I watched Bad Boys 4. It's nice, but it wasn't as exciting. Even though it did well at the box office, it came out on top. It wasn't as exciting as the weekend when Top Gun came out with Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? So
Globally.
Yeah, globally. But it wasn't. Even in the United States,
Yeah.
Top Gun had a bigger debut. And these guys were almost on equal par. In fact, Will Smith had overtaken him. By the time he dropped I Am Legend, he was beyond Tom Cruise.
Because Tom Cruise was the highest and the biggest paid star for the longest of time, right?
You understand what I'm saying?
Although at some point Will Smith was a $20 million man a movie or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're saying Will Smith surpassed Tom Cruise at some point?
Yeah, he had.
Ngenkat Zabo, I Am Legend.
Yeah, by that time. You know what I mean? He was like right up there. To the point where even when he got an Oscar, it felt like they owed it to him. He got an Oscar for a Netflix film, which, King Richard,
Yeah.
which isn't really...
It wasn't that much of a hit, right?
Forget it being a hit. It's not his greatest performance either way.
Although it's
You
an
know what I
incredible
mean?
story.
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Exactly. I'm Legend at Taiwan, the whole movie. Cabang.
Actually, yeah.
Fun. You.
Ninja Yak.
Fun. Inja act.
Yeah, until the end.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So you lose an on-screen star like that, and people lose jobs. Those are the consequences. And Tina, we're losing our on-screen stars because they're being drowned out with this television. And this television is about keeping the subscriber numbers up and everything else, but the entire industry behind that is failing and dying. The skills are not there; they're not filtering down, and it shows in everything else because there's so many ways for you to make a cheap production now, right? That what happened is that when television started seeing that it's losing its audience to user-generated content and all this content and whatever, what it did is that it said, okay, let us make more quantity and forget about quality because already the people's eyes are trained to not want quantity. But that was the wrong move to go with, because now the productions, it's like, oh, let's shoot a reality show. It doesn't matter how we shoot it. It doesn't matter how we put it together. We just get the shots. Let's get some drama, whatever. Anything that we can put on TV is going to get a viewership. But what they're not realizing is that they are now making sure that people actually tune out, because they're supposed to have a higher quality. You understand what I'm saying? They're supposed to create a moment. I mean, the only thing that people really watch that much now at high quality is sports. And you've seen how sports production, the production value of sports. I mean, you look at Euro when the guys come out, the lighting, every game looks like an opening ceremony. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the production and the sporting values, because they're making money off so many other avenues of people watching, people enjoying the fandom, the sports betting, all the sponsorships and everything else. They're trying to up the production value of their product. Whereas TV series is now, I mean, they're not really trying to up the production value. There's more, let's use a quick reality show to get our ARs up, on certain weeknights or whatever the case may be. And if it bombs, at least the reunion show will save us, you know what I mean? And then we'll at least call that a finale. And so it's the inshitification of television. It's getting terribly, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And what that does is that it kills the stardom of the on-screen stars. So even if you are a new actor on a new show, like, people don't think highly of actors. So it doesn't matter how much you kill your performance, you'll never be able to get people to spend money to buy tickets to watch you. So that spreads through everything else. We're losing the quality aspect, and we're losing the opportunity aspect of where our culture is progressing. From a music front, our music is making people dance. People are really interested in South Africa, and we've got amazing stories. I mean, the last time I spoke to you, just about this things that are happening, I think it was just a general conversation. We were having a burger. It was when we were still in New York. And I was saying everything else should be a spin-off. The movies should be benefiting from the music interest. The dance culture, the theater productions, everything else should be benefiting. And the reason why it's not benefiting is because there's no investment into it, like proper investment, proper capital. If Showmax gains 400,000 subscribers and DSTV loses 400,000 subscribers, that's a bigger loss than a gain. It doesn't balance each other out, because the Showmax subscriber, in terms of the margin on that and the amount of revenue that those 400,000 subscribers generate, doesn't compare to the revenue that's generated by the 400,000 premium subscribers. You know what I mean? So they're losing a lot of margin. And for them, it's like, okay, fine. They don't really care about it too much, because the company is being sold anyway. It's being sold to the French broadcaster who wants to create a big media conglomerate across the African continent that centers itself on sporting rights, especially the rights for the African Champions League, because of how well AFCON did as well throughout the continent. You know what I mean? The whole entire continent really watched that, and they're seeing that they can really raise significant revenue throughout the continent if they corner that space. So everything else is aligning for us to really have a big market to penetrate, and we're losing the initiative. We shouldn't even be looking at penetrating other markets outside of Africa. If AFCON can do that well, right? Yeah. Imagine if our television shows were so brilliant that the whole of Africa wanted to watch our television series.
Talking about the whole of Africa wanting to watch our television series, I'm pulling out my phone just to read the facts. That MultiChoice has lost over 400,000 DSTV subscribers. This is in South Africa, and they reported their biggest losses yet. I think in terms of their revenue, they've had about a 30% drop in revenue. And not only MultiChoice, you would know that also Naspers has got a media division that own Media 24. And they own newspapers like about City Press, about Daily Sun, about Sunday Sun. And you know that's also gone, right?
They're closing down their print divisions, I think, by October this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's an opportunity for AO Technologies, who own IOL. I mean, even their share price went up upon this announcement as well. I don't think the print media division closing down is like something that should signal fears within the print media space. It means that there's going to be less competition. So IOL is going to pick up that print media slack. But digital media should be encouraged at the fact that, there's going to be contestation of the space more vigorously, because that's the only place where now they can actually play. All their resources will have to be deployed to online content. That's where the revenue is, and that's where they need to try and drive subscriptions. The threat and the challenge is that we don't have an independent or citizen journalists forum. That's the problem. That's our biggest problem. We've got SANEF. And already we've seen throughout the coverage of the elections, how SANEF has seen to be favoring certain people that go along with certain narratives, and they're very silent when it comes to certain issues, and then they condemn certain people, no one, when Helen Ziller is criticizing the media for calling the DA white-led and everything else, SANEF doesn't write a whole op-ed or a press release. The SANEF CEO doesn't come on to Newsroom and SABC to condemn what Helen Ziller is doing by, saying that the media is reporting unfairly. But, when certain other people do it, SANEF comes out and then wants to condemn them. And then one is forced to think that SANEF is being used to condemn certain people. And that's the only purpose for it. It's not really a forum where there's sort of a committee to ensure that journalism is carried out according to the ethics that people are trained to adhere to. And we're losing in our democracy because we don't have proper independent media. We don't, and it's a really big loss. I mean, with you doing this platform and so many other people, I think there's been an effort from people that are in the independent media space to democratize the space, to make sure that there's more voices, to make sure that there's different ideas, different people, and trying to platform people that the mainstream media would try to marginalize, for not suiting the narratives that, they're paid to advertise, I guess. So that is the biggest threat to our democracy right now. And it also allows for the complacency that, we're seeing with DSTV right now. You know what I mean? It also allows for the complacency that we're seeing from Stokvel. It's not thinking. And that complacency also comes from the fact that, we've got the white overseer complex, is that we've got white people that oversee everything, and white people that don't know our culture, that are then supposed to think or derive economic opportunities for us that would best benefit us as a people, but cannot because, they've got a white gaze. They only think of, extracting the most basic things. They don't have the creativity, and therefore they shouldn't be allowed to lead, especially in places where, there's business of creativity or anything of the sort. Even in the extractive resources and minerals, they shouldn't be leading in that as well, because they don't understand the culture of maintaining our environment the way we do. They
But
shouldn't be leading.
we keep on
in
allowing them to
politics.
lead, though.
Yeah, I know, but that's the result of colonialism.
I'd rather have them lead than partner and work with you.
That's the problem, is that we'd rather.
ANC just showed us that just now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that complacency that comes in means that even all these companies or these markets that are celebrating or saying that they've got control, they are badly run businesses. They don't know how to run their businesses, and they have never had proper competition. If they had proper competition, they'd be failing. So we have a mixed economy where the state is basically got its hands tied behind its back to give private business an unfair advantage. And we then complain about lacking employment. I mean, like our president, number one, is one person who is not helping people have employment at all. Let's just say he were to take $580,000, right, and donate it. It's 10 million rands, right? Donate it to farmers in Limpopo, right? So that they can work on leased land that belongs to the state, right? So they don't have to buy the land, but everything that they need will be funded by that, and then they'll have a product and a project, and then after some time they'll have to pay back the money, at a certain interest rate, so he can make his money back, and then also then pay for the skills and the training to make it something that's productive. Now, the incentive for them would then be to compete against the privately owned businesses that are also in the same area and in the same land, those commercial farmers. So we've sorted out one problem, which is the land problem. We've sorted out the land usage problem, and then we've also sorted out the jobs problem, because those people would be hiring people that work for the state now to work those farm labor jobs. We also sort out the minimum wage problem, because if the state is hiring people, it's obviously going to pay them at least at minimum wage, right? So now that farmer who doesn't want to pay a certain minimum wage, you don't even need a minimum wage law to encourage him. He's going to lose workers. He won't have the workforce, because people will now want to work on the state farms, and then he'll have to start paying his workers better and look for other places to create efficiencies so that he can have better margins to better compete against the state. So the state should be not looking to create a practice of welfare. The state should be doing what the state did in 1924, 100 years ago, when the elections that happened then also produced a result that didn't have an outright winner. And I think the United Party and the Labour Party, as well as the National, I forgot the names, but I'm drawing from memory of things that I've been reading. And they formed a unity government called the Pact Government. And what that Pact Government did is that it was for the first time that more Afrikaner leadership came into government, as opposed to the English leadership or the British leadership, which was represented by the Prime Minister Jan Smuts, who lost that election, and
this is in 1924.
This is 1924, and within that space in time, in the first 12 years, they removed the right of black, educated and property-owning men to vote. So by 1936, they removed the vote. They established the Afrikaner welfare state and made sure that the state started companies like ISCO, which is the Iron and Steel Corporation, you know, and made sure that those state companies would hire Afrikaners and skill them and unskilled labor, and they'd also this is Barry Herzog. You drive on that road, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's when he became the prime minister.
Sorry, with what you're saying, they're saying general elections were held in South Africa on June 17, 1924, electing 135 members of the House of Assembly. Considered a realigning election, rising discontent with the government of Jan Smuts led to the defeat of his government by a coalition of the Pro-Afrikaner National Party and the South African Labour Party, a socialist party representing the interests of the white proletariat.
The proletariat, the working class.
The working class,
Amapono. That's when Amapono took power after being subjugated by the British.
So Barry Herzog led the National Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time they got 44 seats with 38%. Jan Smuts led the South African Party at the time, which won 77 seats with 49.9%. And Frederick Creswell, who was leading the Labour Party, that gotten 10 seats with 10.6%. Very interesting when you look at where all of these coalition governments come from. And it's interesting that you're taking us back to history. Smuts had angered South African nationalists by his moderate stance on South African independence from the British Empire. The worldwide depression after the end of the First World War had led to a strike in South Africa known as the Rand Rebellion, which had been diffused through a combination of military force and negotiation with the outgunned unions, earning Smuts the enmity of the Labour vote. As a consequence, Smuts' SAP, which is a South African party, was defeated by a nationalist Labour pact. Barry Herzog formed the government and became prime minister, a position he was to hold until 1939.
So from 1939 onwards, it just took another 9 years for apartheid to begin in earnest in 1948. That's the legacy that Barry Herzog made. And imagine, he was prime minister for 25 years.
25 years, bro.
Yeah.
And blacks at the time, they were not allowed to vote.
Well, he stopped the black vote. Because blacks were allowed to vote. If you owned property and you were educated to a certain level, you were allowed to vote. You know. So the blacks that owned property were allowed to vote. You know, chiefs, councilmen were allowed to vote. And then he collapsed that whole entire thing and installed a native affairs minister. You know, so those were some of the things that formed part of our history, and that's what created the Afrikaner welfare state and brought it to the level where it could be so economically strong that it could establish its own apartheid state independent of the British in 1948. That's how long it took them. So it took them 24 years to be independent of the British. And in the 30 years that the ANC has been in power, it has taken us into further dependence on white monopoly capital. It has reversed us as black people. So the ANC government has not been able to do what the National Party government did for
Afrikaners.
For Afrikaners.
For its constituency.
Yeah, because, I mean, first it merged with the Labour Party, so it represented workers as well. It brought in a lot of the trade unions, so the trade unions had a very Afrikaner a base and basis, like where they're formed from, you know. There was a lot of reforms. You know, they made sure that Afrikaner women were educated and Afrikaner women were employed. So they'd create places where they'd give jobs to Afrikaner women, especially with the telephone system. You know, the operators and everything else. They created also the two-language system so that you'd always have to hire an Afrikaner person as well as an English person, so that we've got the duality of those languages, being represented the whole entire time. So just imagine if every place where you hired people, you had to hire people based on the languages. You have to hire Sotho people because there's Sotho people that need to be represented. And this is in the state. And the state can afford to do this and does afford to do this because the state also gets revenue from taxes. And if you're hiring more people are working, more people are earning money, and more people are then able to pay tax. If not, then abolish income tax then, if you want to keep the hiring to the lowest level profitable. Abolish income tax, because then what you're doing is that you're ensuring that employers are paying workers less, because a lot of the compensation that employers pay their workers is also to make up for the money that they'll lose when it comes to income tax. If you know that if I pay you 30,000 rands, you're only going to get 22,000 rands of that. So I'm saying intrinsically that I'm paying you 22,000 rands, and I'm saying you can live off 22,000. But if there was no income tax and I was paying you 25,000 rands, I'd be paying you 3,000 rand more. And that makes a significant difference. So those are the things that also keep people from hiring as many people, because workers become more expensive because of the tax burden, and that's why they negotiate for higher income. The state should be intervening. It shouldn't be intervening through grants. It should be intervening through jobs, through creating businesses that are going to compete against some of the businesses that are all over the world doing whatever business that they're doing, and then ensuring that they put their best foot forward. And also, at the same time, it shouldn't be stopping private businesses from getting involved in the space. The problem right now that we have is that we've got a fascist government where the corporate powers are so powerful and control the politicians so much that they can hamper government businesses from competing. They can stop Eskom from working, just so that Eskom can break down to the point where it becomes so costly to recover it that they then now need to
privatize it.
No, they need to charge the customer even more. It's not really about privatizing it, it's about charging the customer more. So all these breakdowns of the company, and stifling it, is not to privatize it, is to make it less competitive when the private companies now have built up enough customers to get into the space. That is it. Is that they're so efficient that they will kill any private competition. Private competition can never compete against them. So to make sure that private competition can compete, they're going to make sure that people pay more for energy. And that people paying more for energy makes it harder for people to be productive. Makes it more expensive for people to be productive. So you're making sure that people are poorer. That's how our economies are poorer. We're talking about all the dangers of like AI and everything else. We can't even get into the AI space because that thing chows electricity. Can't even get into crypto because that thing chows electricity. So many opportunities are lost because things chow electricity. And we're so used to our electricity switching off that we limit our productivity. You know what I mean? We've given ourselves time. 24 hours is no longer a time where people can work. McDonald's is no longer 24 hours. How many jobs is that? You know what I mean? That's people losing earnings. And our economy is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And they're shrinking it just so that, we can become a welfare state that is dependent on whatever largesse, so that they can just keep milking it and extracting it. And it's because of our incompetent leadership. We don't have any competent leadership, and we don't have people that can actually see where the solutions lie. So, I'm looking at this pact government again, 100 years removed from the original pact government, and I'm thinking to myself, what is the outcome of this pact government? Is that, as it stands, the ANC is saying, yes, we want to build another white white buffer, to give white privilege another buffer. Except for the first time, it was for the Afrikaner people. And you know what? That's part of our history. That's what they felt was necessary, and that's what gave them a leg up. You know, I can't hate on them for that. They came up with a best strategy for their people. What strategy are we coming up with for our people? Our strategy currently, right now, is like, oh no, let ANC fall and get into bed with the DA and give up the whole entire revolution. You know, we don't care. We told you that they were irredeemable. And so we're letting the ANC go, but letting the ANC go is like, okay, now we're letting Will Smith fall. And now you're watching Bad Boys, and now, there's not enough people at the cinema.
But the ANC is letting itself go.
That's fine. We are letting it go as well. We're saying, ha, ha, ha. We're celebrating as it falls down. But as it falls down, there's less people that are having jobs. There's people that are suffering. You're just sitting there. If you're Julius Malema, you're watching the ANC fall and you say, yeah, I told you so. You know what I mean? If you're Jacob Zuma, you're watching the ANC fall, you're saying, I told you so. If you're Aubrey Mashik, you're watching the ANC fall, you're saying, I told you so. But all of them have also one thing in common. They're sad. You understand? Imagine how sad it is for someone who's voted for the ANC with all their hope and thought that, you know, it would deliver a better life for their children, at least, you know. And all those hopes are dashed. They know that they will leave this earth having seen the ANC fail to deliver on any of its promises, and the hope that they had vested in the ANC is all dashed. You made a bet, and that bet would only be seen to materialize within the next 30 years. You'd see if your bet was wrong, and your bet was wrong. You made the wrong bet. You know, it's sad. I'm laughing, but it's sad. You know, sad things make me laugh sometimes. You know, it's a way to cope, I guess, and deal with them. So those are the challenges that we're facing right now. Is that we're watching the ANC failing and give up on the National Democratic Revolution, which is sad to see. And I'm hoping that, you know, if it goes down the way I think it could go down, that people will be hurt enough or will go through enough hardship to finally wake up and see that their political futures are in their own hands. And there's this savior complex of thinking some politician is going to save you and you need to intervene in the politics of your home, in the politics of your family, in the politics of your neighborhood, in the politics of your community, in the politics of your children's school, in the politics of, you know, your shopping center, in the politics of the parking lots, in all the politics that are involved in every single part of your life. You need to be actively involved. Every single citizen needs to be actively involved. You know, there should be none of this thing of like, let the politicians be the one that talk. They should be accounting to each and every single one of us. They shouldn't be accounting to the media, because we cannot trust them to account to the media, because the media doesn't hold them accountable. You know what I mean? They say like a protest with 10,000 people is very easy to deal with. But 10 protests with 1,000 people, that's almost impossible to deal with. So we need to now expand the number of protests that we're having. You know what I mean? There needs to be a fire everywhere, a fire everywhere, a fire everywhere. And they cannot catch a break.
But you can't be promoting anarchy, NOTA.
No, that's not anarchy. I'm not talking about like a literal fire. I'm talking about
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like what needs to happen is that also, like with the media space, it's like I made this criticism. I was like, why do we have Ask a Man when it would be more helpful to ask a minister? You know, if we could have ministers in every department rotationally having to answer questions about what they're doing, how they're adjusting or changing policy, and, you know, making people's lives better or not, then we'd have a more engaged society. I think
That is so dope, Nota.
what?
I'm gonna do that on my radio.
Yeah.
Ask a minister.
Yeah, ask a minister. You know, because the
Ask a
ministers
minister.
ask a minister because they're so inaccessible. You know, and
Bazothi ngikope metro. But then
no.
actually you've got a point.
Yeah.
Why-
it means that why aren't we asking a minister? We need to be asking them tough questions. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
yo, we've got this minister that's coming through. People, what tough questions do you want us to ask? You know, go hard. You know, and those questions need to be fielded. You know, during the Zuma administration, the Luthuli House was a hive of activity all the time. You know, even like that Julius Malema BBC thing. Hey, this is not what
This
the
is a
rubbish is in your
revolutionary
transit.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened when? During the Zuma administration. Why? Because every single day or every single other day, weekly, there was a media report, there was a press conference happening at Luthuli House, there was accountability. Someone was asking questions, whatever. However it was, that journalist got kicked out, right? But he asked questions that made Julius uncomfortable enough to kick him out like that. You understand what I'm saying? And the fact that he was able to do so. And no one pushed him or whatever, you know what I mean? He picked up his camera because now it's a shouting match and he doesn't want to be embarrassed. It's fine, you know what I mean? But no one, like, physically, everyone just looked at him. It didn't look like it's going to turn into... He could have just thrown back. He decided, you know what, I'm not going to take this from Julius.
Yeah.
I'm picking up my mic and I'm
I'm
walking out.
leaving.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So why can we not have that anymore? Why is it now that under administrations subsequent to that, it's like we're in a dictatorship? There's no open debate. I mean, Gwede Mantashe, that's where the Mantasheing came about. When people say you are Mantasheing,
spin doctoring.
yeah, you understand? Because he was there at Luthuli House, that media press briefing, Jesse Duarte next to him, you know, talking, explaining, hey, what is this? And the media hammering them. During the Zuma administration, there was really tough questions being asked all the time. Now there's no questions asked. SAA by saying 51 rand. Okay, by Buisa Futi, Asas no now they're saying it's going to be profitable. I celebrate SAA manje. You know what I mean? We're celebrating SAA at the inauguration because Sine plane yase France. Oh, South Africa purchased a plane that is made in France. The first thing is that we've run out of Roy Falk helicopters, which we made by ourselves. You know, Denel, one of the best arms manufacturers. I mean, they make some of the best guns in the world. You know, there's markets all over the world. In America, people love buying guns. You know what I mean? We could be selling to that market, advertising such products, hiring more workers at the Denel factories there in Pretoria, instead of them shooting each other and killing each other because there's no proper opportunities. You know? They could be creating something that has got an economic opportunity, but they're not doing that. And our government has been responsible for it, and it's both the DA and the ANC's fault. You know what I mean? Both of them are stifling the state. The DA by ensuring that they disempower the state from doing anything, so that they give all their work to private companies who they're empowering, and those private companies then in turn fund them and their campaigns. And the ANC by stifling the participation of a broader section of our population in the economy, because they are the ones that are the gatekeepers for which blacks get to enter into the mainstream economy. You know? So they're both doing that job on either side. This one is doing it on the left, this one is doing it on the right. You know, and the middle is being chewed out. And they've been doing this for the entire 30 years. And they've gotten us to a point where, you know, our politics is so terrible that even if us as black people all put our money together, we don't have Oppenheimer money. Even all of us slug it. So bangathenga every election forever. Forever. Like, seriously, like, they can buy every election forever. They're buying a blind, like we
By
they
taking
put-
election essay, Bossa,
all
they
of them.
gave IFP 20 million. They bought like everything.
They bet on every horse. The whole entire Durban July. They said, okay, Uban, okay, yeah, okay. Everyone wins.
And they succeeded in breaking us apart.
Well, I don't think they succeeded in breaking us apart.
They have.
Nah.
If we can choose to partner with the DA instead of colliding with other black parties.
No. That's the
succeeded.
ANC's decision. That's not black people's decision. You need to understand
Because they created these other parties. As much as the leaders were pissed off,
yeah, but all those other parties, like, no.
the smaller parties are funded by the same people, as you
Yes,
say.
but what I'm trying to say is that failed. I do not buy into that narrative that these smaller parties succeeded. They gave this guy 30 million and he got 2 seats. That's a failure. That's a big failure. That's a massive failure. The other one got to 2 seats, 3 seats, 1 seat. Those are failures. All these new pop-up black parties, you know what I mean? Those are all failures. They all failed. They all got beaten. The DA failed. The DA was never able to take votes from the ANC ever in its history. Even in this election, they failed to take votes. The only person that took votes from the ANC is MK. Zuma. That's it. Zuma put the ANC and MK at the same percentage he left it at when he last was elected in, 65%. You know what I mean? So, all the narratives and the things that's what our media is feeding us. They're feeding us the wrong narratives. They're feeding us completely rejected narratives. They are the ones who are saying mostly that, you know, the people have voted for a divide. No, people have not voted for this outcome. You know what I mean? The fact that 78% don't want DA, if the numbers are even to be accurate, you know, the fact that over 60% don't want ANC. In fact, it's even more than that if you look at the people that did not vote as well, because the people that did not vote definitely did not want to vote for ANC. If they would have come to vote if they wanted ANC in, you know what I mean? So that's the majority of all voters. Do not want the ANC, don't trust the system, and the system being compromised as it is, but having still so much power is a very dangerous thing that, you know, I think a lot of young people are taking for granted. You look at what's happening in Kenya right now, where the young people are the ones that are taking up to the streets in a tax revolt, crying about the taxes because these taxes are just ways to pay your grandparents' debt. Like, why are our children paying our debt? Why is it as black people that we accept that our children need to take care of us when we are in our old age? Why are we giving them a burden? Why are we making their future beholden to our, you know, well-being? Like, why is that? Why is the child's future not about making their children better off so that your grandchildren can be better off? And then what type of relationships do we then want to foster with our children when, you know, it seems like, you know, we depend on them? You know, we can't have proper relationships as dependents. The same way you don't want to be dependent on a grant is the same way that your child does not want you to be dependent on them. You know? And it's a massive burden. I think the last time we spoke, for a long time, I was telling you that my dad was finishing up his chemo treatment.
Yeah.
And he was just telling me the other day that, you know, it's cost him over like 600K just since last year.
How is he now?
Yeah, well, he's doing better.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, imagine if that was 600K that would have to be paid by his children. You know what I mean? And that is the situation for majority of black people. And yet, you know, the DA can then say NHI is a bad idea because the medical aid companies are going to lose money and everything else. Why don't the medical aid companies take the money that they're making? They make so much money. They just keep most of the money. They don't even use it. Let them go into another business that's profitable. They're private companies. How? Why should the government care that private companies are going out of business? They're private companies. They can go into something else. Fana ayispadanga riding, yenza something else. Ayisaspani riding. Fana, you're a private company, you can do whatever you want. Fana. Who says that you as a private company are entitled to a certain industry? And an industry that is extracting the value of the services that are supposed to be provided by the state for the people's well-being. Because that's what it's doing. It's draining the state's resources. These private companies, all these private hospitals, they all get subsidies from the government anyway. They do. For everything. So they're draining the state, they're using the state's resources, and plus, they're not the ones that pay for the colleges that educate the nurses and everything else. So they're using the state's resources in terms of educating people, in terms of giving them NSFASs, in terms of allowing them to get into the medical field. They're using those state resources, and also they want subsidies, and also they want the state to allow them to run a savings industry outside of state competition that allows people to pay for those services at a premium rate because they make them exclusive. Like, how is that justifiable? That is like completely evil. And the fact that these people know how to speak in English that makes it seem as if what they're doing is, just fair business. It's not, it's evil.
But why would the ANC though fold under the pressure of big business and the DA?
The ANC has always folded under the pressure of big business. Since its establishment, it's always folded under the pressure of big business. Like I'm saying, is that the people that were allowed to vote, the ANC guys were allowed to vote. They voted. From when it started in 1912. They were educated, their degrees. Those were the first people to have degrees. They were the ones that were allowed to vote. They were part of the native councils. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And ANC was started by educated people.
Yes, exactly. People who could vote. Exactly.
And people who could speak to Ingamla and say, we will lead these people.
You understand?
Don't worry, we'll lead them on your...
And what did they do? They got co-opted. Over time, it was only inevitable that the system would then make them have to choose between their own, expediency and the well-being of their people. That is it. And that's what we need to accept, like we need to accept the mourning period, the trauma of it. You need to accept that, oh, damn, this thing that I believed in so much is not what I thought it was. At first you're going to be very angry at yourself. You feel like a fool. This is how we felt after we vaccinated, is it not? We're over it now, but I mean, that's how it felt after when we realized that, they were lying to us this whole entire time.
So do you think these elections also exposed the ANC for what it is?
Yes. It's exposed. Completely.
What it really is.
Yes. What it really is. Now we expose. Now we know who to win Zenuzuma. When Zenuzuma, now we know. He wanted the ANC to live up to its promise and not what it truly is. And he exposed what the ANC truly is. That's why he was kicked out. Or marginalized.
Do you think this is the death of the ANC?
Suspended. I don't think it's the death of the ANC, like, completely, but I know that it will never recover from this.
Because now we're moving from there'll always be there'll always be racism, but it's like we're moving from a racist society to a classist society.
No, that's not the case.
I think so, because now you've got you've got a lot of people who feel for the betterment of the country, and these are educated people, these are middle class.
Our society is not classist. No.
We're moving there.
No. The classes are the ones that run our society. You need to stop using the word to describe the society and describe the people that act in a certain way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So the classes are the ones that they're the ones who can say all these things. They're the ones who can say we are the educated ones. We are the ones who can rule over the blacks. That's what the ANC are. They are the classes.
Yeah.
You understand? They're the ones who say we speak on behalf of all blacks. We are the ones that will rule over you. You know what I mean? We're the overlords. So they've dictated terms. It's not that we live in a classist society, because you know that that is rejected. People are disgusted by these classes.
No, but it's moving to the voter now. The voter says, no, you need to be accountable for the betterment of the country. I don't care even if you go down whether the ANC, you need to partner with the DA, work with the DA.
No, they've never said that. The voter has never said that. That's the media. That's the classist narrative trying to spin it so that they can use the DA to save them, so that they can get away with being who they truly are by saying, we're not delivering on our promise because you forced us to partner with these white supremacists. That's it. That's it. They constructed the situation. It's a manufactured consent. They created the situation, and then they what's leading them into bed with the DA so much? Why would Duminisen Tuli say? We invited the MK. They said, they had a problem with the president. The EFF said they don't want to work with the DA. The DA said they don't want to work with the EFF. Why still did you choose them? You understand what I'm saying? So you're more biased. So when the DA says they don't want to work with the EFF, you're like, oh no, yes, boss. And when the EFF say they don't want to work with the DA, you say, Buffett. Because that would have been easy. Okay, IFP, ngapa, EFF, ngapa, and then you still would have been able to, do what you want in government.
But also the IFP has been exposed for what it is now also, right?
But, I mean, that has always been the case.
But people never knew. The masses never knew.
No, the masses always knew.
I think now it has come out.
No, the masses always knew. The masses always knew. The masses knew what happened in the early 90s. In the East Rand, they knew. Everybody knew. I knew when I was a kid that the IFP was doing all this slaughtering and killing people and stuff like that. That was in my home. I grew up with that.
20 million they got from the Oppenheimers.
Yeah, but
money,
obviously we knew that they were getting money for the third force to enact the violence. We knew that. We've always known that. We've never tried. IFP has never been trusted. It's never been trusted. You know what I mean? The government of national unity was a way to cleanse them, to make them like legitimate, but it's never been trusted. You know what I mean? And that's it. They were in government before. You must remember that throughout apartheid, IFP was in government in KZN. So.
But the reason why I'm saying so is because I saw a lot of videos on social media of IFP voters pissed off, angry.
At what?
At what the leadership of the ANC did by going into bed with the ANC and the DA.
No, but
and valeting out
those people,
a party that got almost half of the votes in KZN.
People that were always loyal to the IFP are people that are not politically astute. They just have always known the IFP. You know what I mean? So, I like to think of people who are politically atheist as the more astute. People who are loyal to a certain party, like it's a church, you know what I mean? They don't really look at the dynamics. They don't really look at what the party is promising. They don't look at whether the party is delivering. They are more following a party like it's a religion.
Isn't it like black people are like that, Velo, with anything?
Not black people are like that. I wouldn't call it like that. There are white people who are like that. White people are more like that. White people will never think of another party.
They stay on code.
How?
They always stay on code.
They're the most tribalistic. And I think that's also another opportunity that was missed out in this election. Like, knowing how tribalistic white people are, we allowed the DA to take the Afrikaner vote. How? How are we allowing Afrikaners and English people, the people that hate each other? They hate each other the most. Afrikaners and British people hate each other more than they can hate black people.
But they're able to work together against black people.
But they hate black people. They hate black people less.
Under the disguise of the betterment of the country.
They hate black people less than they hate each other.
Serious?
You understand what I'm saying? So I don't understand how we missed out on that opportunity. The Afrikaner vote should be split up. Freedom Front Plus should split the DA in half. Like, that should be the first negotiation.
By now,
exactly. Because one thing we know is that the Afrikaners have lost most of their connection to the West. Like, as a people. Like, to the big forces. But the British are very much still with the English-speaking South Africans in their businesses, partnerships, The Dutch, mainly through American businesses, where the Afrikaners have got a base, and capital as well. But that doesn't spread out throughout the whole Afrikanerdom, because there's also elitism there. There's a lot of Afrikaners that don't know what's going on in the politics, that don't have these opportunities, that are not from rich families, that are being kept out, And so it's just shocking for me that there's certain black people that think that just because they're friends with white people or they know white people. You don't know what white people are doing when they're doing the things that make them rich and you poor forever. You are not there. They'll never bring you there. They'll never bring you to the real big table where the real money can be, divided up. These people are able to pay 30 million just to give to a guy. Just here. 30 million fun. And you've been a lifelong friend. Do you understand that? So you're not there. And people need to stop thinking of this classism thing. Oh, because I do things that white people do. You don't do the things that white people do. You don't. You do the things that you can pay to do. That's it. You can pay to do this. It's not you doing what white people do because you're not there. White people own. You cannot own. So therefore, you don't do what white people do. You know what I mean? You pay to access. And that's something that we'll need to start coming to terms with, and also accepting that our black parties struggle to come together to give black people a leg up in this country. Like, they struggle to come together, and they'd rather fight to be party to a white-led coalition than come together. I mean, it must be also very disappointing. You've got Gayton who he first defends Ronaldo Rose, then he turns his back on Ronaldo Rose. And for me, like, I don't really find Ronaldo Rose that offensive. I mean, you know what I mean?
What do you mean you don't find him offensive?
I don't find him that offensive. I mean, like, for me, what a guy says on the internet is not as offensive as the fact that,
But this guy's going to be in parliament.
There are black people, I don't care. There's black people that are keeping our people suffering. Like, that are making our people suffer. There are black people that are doing that. That, for me, is a more heinous crime because they know people that are suffering that are within their own families. And they're allowing this to be our condition just so that they can be the better blacks. Just so they can be the blacks that go to Camps Bay and enjoy themselves. And say, oh, we see Camps Bay. You understand what I'm saying? And they enjoy that. I don't enjoy that. I hate it. You know what I mean? I hate it, being surrounded by black people who take pride in the fact that they're in the minority amongst whites in their own land. They take pride in that. Why? And that's a something that we also see the media try to shy away from. You know what I mean? They shy away from the fact that there's a great contempt for the actions of the elite blacks, the classist blacks that think that they deserve a better life. They've worked harder. They did things better. And that's not the truth. They're being given an unfair advantage to prop them up so that it doesn't look like white people are doing as good a job at suppressing black ambitions as they are. That's it. It's like, well, these whites are suppressing you, then look at why are these guys up here. That's all they're there for. You know what I mean? Window dressing. And this election outcome and its coverage is being molded in front of our eyes by the media because of how they choose to go for certain narratives over the truth. And we're not getting the truth.
And what is the truth?
The truth is that, siseka ke.
What's the future of a black person now? Or let me say the future of South African politics.
I don't want to predict it, but I'm like, guys, we need to just get involved. Let's not discuss what the future is as armchair experts anymore. We need to get involved. If Abo Songezo and them can get involved, not asking in Buffett, you know what I mean? Like asking it in. Let's not stop ourselves. Yena, he put his hand up. Let's not criticize him. He's going to be up for the criticism when he has to deliver in Parliament. So whatever you feel about his funding and everything else, now he has to prove himself. Now he's got the opportunity. 30 million or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
And then Musibam Kaimalin?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he also got many millions.
Sure.
But I mean, like, even EFF got money from the Mutsipes, Harmony and African Rainbow Minerals, who also gave IFP money. So, I mean, the EFF cannot call themselves uncompromised because that's Oppenheimer money. The BE partners of the big mining conglomerates are Oppenheimer money. Oppenheimer gave them that space to operate in that mining space. You know what I mean? So those are the things, and those are some of the laws that mean that if you find diamonds in your house, they belong to De Beers. You know what I mean? You don't have a fair opportunity, and you cannot hold an uncut diamond. You'll be arrested. It's one of those most serious crimes, and those are the most valuable diamonds. You know, that's the diamonds that they're most valuable when they're still uncut. So we are excluded from all the real opportunities of true value as black people. No, that one you cannot touch. It's even in the law. It is the law that blacks are not allowed. And yet the DA is able to go into the media without any pushback, because the media are people that are not trained in actual history. They didn't study history. I used to go to the city library and read the newspaper articles in the archives. If you studied journalism, you should have at least done that. Because I read about these things, the Barry Herzog and all these things, all these people and all the policies that they enacted in those newspapers at the archives at the city library, which is now closed. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to understand, why is this Bears No Deer more important than DF Malan? Because this road that used to take us to school, Papa, used to be called DF Malan. Now they've changed it to Bears No Deer. So why is this Bears No Deer more important than this DF Malan?
And we still have those roads called Barry Herzog.
You understand what I'm saying? But those are the things that I used to ask my father in the car. Who is this person? Why is this? Oh, Bears No Deer was there. Like, no, DF Malan did much more than Bears No Deer, Papa. There's no way. I read this and I went to the archives. This is what DF Malan was doing in such and such a year, such and such a year, such and such a year, such and such a year. So I understand the politics and the reporting of it with context.
Because Jan Smarts was changed too. It's still Jan Smarts.
Jan Smarts is still Jan Smarts. And that's the guy who took over after Barry Herzog. Yeah,
those were the guys
who succeeded.
The foundation of the party.
But who came before Barry Herzog?
The SAP, the South African Party, South African Political Party, formed in November 1911 in the aftermath of the 1910 Union of South Africa by various parties allied to Louis Botha. Even there's still Louis Botha.
Yes,
they were allied to Louis Botha and Jan Smarts.
Where Trevor Noah went to school.
It was the governing party in South Africa from 1911 to 1924 and laid the foundations of apartheid.
So, do you understand that the media that we have are not doing their job properly because they don't understand the history of this country, so they cannot explain what's happening in this country's politics with true context. They don't know where we come from. That's it. They take it from 1994 onwards. They say this is a 1994. This is 1924. It's 100 years. You need to go back a couple more decades. 7 more than what you're going back right now. This is not what happened in 94. 94, there was a clear winner, 64%, 65%, whatever. Right? Yes, that's the Mandela margin. Or over 60%. There was a clear winner. He had said, what do you call it? Sufficient consensus. I won. You understand? So this is 1924, when no one had sufficient consensus. Jan Smarts did not have sufficient consensus. I'm sure it's 18. And then that's where I'm up. And from there, they've never let go. Until 1994, where they let go clean, the National Party collapsed. And then what did Abelungu do? The English ones, they started the DA. And now they've made the DA so big, they've even roped in Amapun. Amapun have succumbed. They're now, Imagine how angry Amapun were when they folded into the DA. They were angry. When the National Party folded into not only just the ANC and the DA, because a lot of their leaders left, but the main leaders merged with the ANC. About Martinez van Schalkwyk, when they became about tourism minister, whatever, forestry, agriculture.
They were dissolved into the ANC,
Yeah, they were dissolved, but a lot of their leaders that exodus went to the DA. Even though the top leadership got ministerial positions in the ANC. That was their collapse. And now the party of Jan Smarts has now taken over again, by co-opting the ANC to collapse into them. And we cannot allow that. We need to challenge it. And our voices are being muted. We cannot call out to the media to actually say, hey, let there be some sensibility, especially this new progressive caucus that is forming.
Yeah.
The progressive caucus should never make the mistake of abandoning the plight of black people in South Africa for the expediency of watching the ANC fall. The satisfaction of watching the ANC fall should not be greater than our lives as black people in this country.
But
No matter what they can gain from watching the ANC fall, they cannot allow the ANC to be saved by the DA.
But the ANC should not have allowed itself to be saved by the DA in the first place.
But
That's what the Progressive Caucus is saying.
Yes, but was the nature and intention of the ANC from the outset. And now people have seen it, and they've exposed it. People have seen it. They don't need to watch it collapse into the actual materializing of the nightmare. They don't need to see that. You see, okay, this is the nightmare. Okay, clean, sharp. Let's stop it then. We told you all along that this is the nightmare, and now everybody sees it. Everybody sees the nightmare. So stop, kick the DA out of the whatever coalition, move the coalition to the left, design whatever you need to do to design, right? And then
But the
make
ANC is not a
concessions that
left.
need to.
They call themselves a leftist party, but it's center left.
Yes, but do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. Put MK, EFF, all the progressive caucus parties, and ice the DA out. And keep the Freedom Front Plus inside. And tell them to fetch their other Afrikaners there from the DA and bring them into this party. That's it. That's it. Let the British do whatever they want. Afrikaners, you're saying that you're the ones who are here, truly that want to be here, that want to be here so much, you even want land here. Okay, fine, then be part of the party. And stop aligning with your enemies just because they are white.
That's what I mean. Good thing they'll always be on code.
Not always.
Always, bro.
Not always.
Always.
Not always.
I
understand. That's what we believe, but not always. The Afrikaners are not like that. The Afrikaners know that where their best interests are served. Their best interests are not served in creating animosity amongst the majority of the population. You're making yourself live in a situation where, you'll be always seen as pariahs. And you don't want that. You know what I mean? You don't want that. They want to live in peace and harmony. Let them live in peace and harmony, and let them abandon this whole entire DA mission of creating a white bloc that is going to suppress black progress. You guys had your way from 1924 up until 1994, right? Let us have our way.
But they've created their own country, or so-called country within a country.
Yeah.
And now they're forcing the ANC to recognize them with this GNU. And they're even saying that Northern Cape ANC has actually recognized them.
Look, that thing is not something that needs to be necessitated.
It's being necessitated.
No. It's not something that needs to be necessitated. Like them living in the middle of nowhere, and it doesn't need to be something that is like now legislated. I mean,
but they are pushing to that right of
I
self-determination. And as soon as that happens, what about the Cape independence?
No, so I don't even think we need to be having those conversations, because us having those conversations is us worrying about something that will never happen. So the reason why I'm saying it'll never happen, it's like they're not displacing a black group that is living there or doing anything there, right? They're in such a minority that they cannot reproduce at a rate at which they can sustain a population there, being isolated as it is, right? Also, genetically, the environment there is so harsh that they'll probably have the highest isolated instances of skin cancer deaths. So there's so many natural inhibitors to what their ambitions are, that it's never a problem to materialize. That's why it's the same reason why Nelson Mandela, when he was speaking at the town hall, said, like, even if blacks and whites go to war, they know that the whites will never survive that. We've got way more numbers. Even if you kill so many millions of us, you will be decimated. Do you understand what I'm saying? So why even have that war? Because you know where it's going to end for you. It's going to end badly. So we don't need to now be making a hoo-ha and be outraged at this whole entire Orania thing. Because, I mean, who is it serving? Who is it serving? It's like, okay, fine. Let's say you ban Orania. What does that stop? Nothing. So, if Orania succeeds, what does that stop? Nothing. And it cannot succeed. I told you, like, the natural thing that will cause its natural death, that cannot succeed. I mean, that's why Soweto thrives so much. Soweto thrives so much because it was the one place where Zulus are marrying Sutus, Sutus are marrying Pedis, Pedis are marrying Tsongas, and it's a whole mixed mash. People are intermarrying in different cultures. They're gaining leverage. There's people like myself, even yourself. You've got your Ndebele family, you've got your Pedi family, you've got a mixture. I think you've got Swati family.
Swati, yeah.
Yeah. Me, I've got my Xhosa family, I've got my Sutu side of the family. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, my cousin, Letsie, is coming to pick up his USB at my place.
I love NOTA, guys.
Umjalefa.
Ngathi ngaba newindow yokubukela imondo yakho ukuthi ucabanga kanjani,
Yeah, I just remembered ukuthi
speaking of which,
kunomsuthu in my family uzolanda USB namhlanje. You know what I mean? So there's a whole mixed match, and for Bona, the stupidest thing you can search for is racial purity. That's the dumbest thing because it weakens you. You know what I mean? So if they want to be weaker, let them weaken themselves. We've got bigger fish to fry, and let's focus on ourselves. We're focused on Orania so much we're forgetting that we're allowing the DA to save the ANC. And we cannot. If the ANC is in a corner, it's in a corner. Basenjeni, they need to do whatever we say. We've got them right where we want them. We've got them right there. They're cornered. Now let's make them do what we want them to do. This is our opportunity. Why are we giving it up? We want to just laugh at them. We want to cancel Ronaldo host. It's like, no, man, it's Mbambi. You understand what I'm saying? And like make him do what we want him to do. Now you will do what we want you to do. That's what you want. Even Cameron, now you will do what we want you to do. You're going to give up this land. You're going to be here for it. You're going to be here for the ceremony. When we sign to the land, you're going to be in the parliament. You're going to be clapping. Now it's going to be a loud applause. You're going to be a stray Macy. Yes, we're going to bring you along for it. That's what we need to be able to do. That's the only thing. You Afrikaners want to do whatever nonsense you want to do is fine. Come here. You need to be here to sign on what we're signing on. Because why? Because we know your history. We know that you did this for yourselves in 1924. So you know why we've got every right to do it right now. And you know why we're doing it. And you're going to help us do it.
NOTA, ladies and gentlemen. I missed him. I think there's so much to talk about. Let's get into another episode very soon. Let's close it here for now. There's so much to talk about. I missed you, bro. Good to see you.
No, lovely to see you too.
Yeah.
And let's hope for the
strong,
best.
bro.
Let's hope, cooler heads prevail. And let's get involved. Let's not leave it.
Let's get involved.
Yeah. Let's get involved. Yeah. Let's get involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me, I'm getting involved. I'm fully focused. I'm
It's
staying
about
strong.
time.
Yeah.
Are you joining any political party?
No.
Okay. You're getting involved in your own corner.
I'm marrying the plight of my people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm dedicating myself to. That's, my wife right now. That's what keeps me focused and driven and motivated. You know what I mean? That's who I'm bringing home flowers to.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But keep strong, bro. I've heard a lot of people say divorce is never easy. Keep strong. We love you.
No, thank you.
We really love you.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of people say that, but I've also heard a lot of people also talk cavalierly because, sing but my first divorce, my second divorce. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah. Now I'm 2000. Those are the conversations we're having.
Exactly.
People are on their second, third marriages. Do you still believe in marriage?
Yeah, of course. I still believe in marriage.
Nice. I like that.
Ubabu is like people who've been through divorces. Like, yeah, you must have that topic.
Yeah.
And just guys, who, you know what I mean, so that we've got those contents.
And I've heard a couple of sisters asking me about you. I always like, hey, man, now I'm talking about who are interested in you. Oh, so you're not there for now?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Okay.
The plight of my people.
Can one sister from somewhere just
never
come and just swipe this man off of his feet?
Never.
You know?
I'm sorry. There's too
no,
much.
man, I'd be very happy to see you in another brand new relationship.
Nah,
you really
nah.
believed in your previous marriage, but keep
Nah,
strong.
nah.
I love you.
Nah,
But,
my people need me
life
more.
moves on, bro.
Yeah, my people need me more than any relationship could right now. I'm serious. Like you guys, like
And you know what? I'm marrying the plight of my people.
yeah.
That's who I'm giving flowers to right now.
You understand? Like my people need me. I'm like if it's the Oppenheimers, have got their foot on your necks. I'm the only one that can save you. I'm sorry. I need to do that.
You're still taking us back to that Messiah mentality.
No. It's not a Messiah mentality.
But guys, he's right. You don't need that Messiah to come and save
it's not
us.
a
Let's all
mentality.
get involved in our own little
we're
corners.
getting involved. I'm the the one who's like, if this guy's getting involved, let me get involved right there. But
Now, my man, I don't know much about politics, but now I'm slowly starting to get myself involved.
We need to get involved.
Yeah.
You need to get the kids involved as well.
Educating myself now.
The kids involved as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to be involved from start to finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to know. They need to know who they voted for. They need to know who's the ward councillor. You know what I mean?
Because now the ANC has exposed itself for what it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, as you are saying, let's not laugh at it going through what it's going through.
No.
Now let's know and let's make better decisions.
Let's
get
use it
ourselves
to
involved.
get what we need to do. We know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trust it to be what it is.
And a lot of people have been saying this, and but now I'm actually. You probably this is a blessing for us.
Yes.
In disguise.
That's it. But now we're gonna give up. We're gonna have 5 wasted years of when the ANC was really in a corner where we could make it do whatever we wanted to do, and we just wanted to just laugh at it.
And the DA would make it do what it wanted to do.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
they won't play.
And they'll use it.
You
they
know the
won't play.
Makoko doesn't play.
They won't play.
Tony Leon and Makoko, they don't play.
How?
She's already started out of the woodworks. Like how? Ukoko. Sekashaya my interview, no that's TNA's and Segale.
Thabo Mbeki is retired.
Koko. Yeah.
Thabo Mbeki is retired.
Yeah.
And thank goodness he has.
Baba Siyabonga for all the great years. Appreciate you.
But yeah.
Thank you for the service.
Yeah. No, we don't need any more ANC stalwarts anymore. We don't because we've seen what they truly were.
Bonele manje.
Yeah. So
Bonele. Yeah.
None of that anymore. I guess that means that it's now time for us to step up. We don't want to end up like Zimbabwe.
And are we saying shout outs to people like Abu Bab Jacob Zuma for exposing the ANC? Or are we still also mad at him?
No.
And maybe my last question also, what is the future of MK? Because Timer is already almost 100. He's in his 80s now.
No, the future for MK is
it'll continue to grow.
South Africa.
Ne?
The same way as Barry Herzog. He got the second most votes. He was the official opposition, and then he made a coalition with the third party.
And do you also think there's a bit of truth that some votes were taken from the MK? Do you think it could have gotten more?
I know that the whole entire system was rigged.
Ne?
From start to finish, from whether it be how we get registered to vote and everything else. It census, in fact, they counted us, all of us. They came to all our houses. They can't come to us and register us to vote. For usbala. Yo, sbuda. Oh, what's la? Okay. Unaban foot, okay. Okay, sharp. I know it's. They were able to do that over how many? 2-3 days. They can't do that to register people to vote and everything else. Come on. You know what I mean? They can't register people to vote at schools. Like, oh, you go to this school. You know what I mean? You're turning 18 in this year. Okay, fine. Let's make sure. There's so many ways in which.
The future of MK?
That's what I said. The future of MK is the future of South Africa. What happened with Barry Herzog's party, it's going to take them maybe another 2 election cycles to get there. But as an organization, they're only going to grow. Let's hope Ubaba is able to live for at least
another 20
15
years.
Yeah, 15
to 20 years.
Where you can lead. No, lead, not live. Sorry, lead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
because his experience is invaluable.
Yeah.
And he's also a former head of state. And he's one that's gone up against the establishment. You know what I mean? He's got the battle scars. and therefore his experience is needed to raise the next generation that's going to take us forward. The EFF as well, I think that their space is going to grow with the decline of the ANC naturally, and they're also going to be part of that future. So I do see them coming together the same way that United and the Labour Party came together to create the National Party that then led South Africa up until 1994. And with that, one would say, oh, doesn't that then lead us back to another system of reverse apartheid? No, but it's reverse apartheid to benefit the majority. And that's what democracy is. It's about the majority.
It's about the majority. Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Dago!